For over 70 years, the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Marin has worked to inspire joy and justice in an imperfect world, sharing life's journey, celebrating many paths, and acting to make a difference. UU Marin celebrates people from all walks of life. No matter how you make your living or how you experience the sacred, no matter who you are, where you're from, or who you love, you are welcome here. If you're seeking open-hearted community, a place where you can have a real day-to-day impact in the world, and a space for the whole family to grow spiritually, come check out the church at the top of the hill. Come join UU Marin.
This is the ofrenda that we built. This is the cloth embroidered by Ama that covers the ofrenda that we built. There's papel cut with designs that graces the cloth with ornate flowing lines that covers the ofrenda that we built. There are candles glowing bright that welcome our ancestors in from the night and shine on the papel that graces the cloth that covers the ofrenda that we built. There are sugar skulls smiling sweetly to represent joy and how full life can be. They rest by the candles that shine on the papel that graces the cloth that covers the ofrenda that we built. There's copal made from sap that urges each spirit to wake from their nap. It burns by the skulls that rest by the candles that shine on the papel that graces the cloth that covers the ofrenda that we built. There are petals, yellow and gold, that gather our ancestors in from the cold. Oh, I forgot a piece. There's a bell that the whole family rings, that's loved for the sound and the spirit it brings. It chimes near the copal that burns by the skulls, that rests by the candles that shine on the papel, that graces the cloth that covers the ofrenda that we built. There are petals, yellow and gold, that gather our ancestors in from the cold, that circle the bell, that chimes near the copal, that burns by the skulls and rests by the candles, that shine on the papel, that graces the cloth, that covers the ofrenda that we built. There are tamales with masa and meat that Baba prepares for the spirits to eat. They're served on a plate on top of the petals that circle the bell made out of metal, that chimes near the copal, that burns near the skulls, that rests by the candles, that shine on the papel, that graces the cloth that covers the ofrenda that we built. There is sweet bread, fluffy and round, a symbol of life and death closely bound, placed by the tamales filled with rich meat as offerings of food for the spirits to eat. They wait on a plate on top of the petals that circle the bell made out of metal, that chimes near the copal, that burns by the skulls, that rests by the candles that shine on the papel, that graces the cloth that covers the ofrenda that we built. There is water, sparkling clear, that quenches the thirst of all who draw near, and rests by the bread, sugary sweet, beside the tamales filled with rich meat, that wait on a plate on top of the petals, that circle the bell made out of metal, that chimes near the copal, that burns by the skulls, that rests by the candles that shine on the papel, that graces the cloth that covers the ofrenda that we built. And there are photos, reminders so dear of our loving abuelo who is no longer here. Each year on this Day of the Dead, we offer our loved ones tamales and bread. We play music he liked and share things we remember. We honor him today and every November, and we hope that he visits a family ofrenda that together we built.
I'll start with a poem by Carl Sandburg. It's called Theme in Yellow. I spot the hills with yellow balls in autumn. I light the prairie cornfields, orange and tawny gold clusters, and I am called pumpkins. On the last of October, when dusk is fallen, children join hands and circle round me, singing ghost songs and love to the harvest moon. I am a jack-o'-lantern with terrible teeth, and the children know I am fooling. Now, Halloween was this week. Day before yesterday? I don't know. Feels like a week ago, but it wasn't that long ago. So I hope the kids had fun. Did you go trick-or-treating? We have a few kids here. Did you go trick-or-treating? You got a lot of candy? That's good. I used to, when my kids came home with their bags of candy, we used to tax. We used to take the tax. So we'd pick out all the good stuff. Oh, it's not wrapped very well. I'm afraid there's a razor blade in it. Let me take that. And then our youngest son turned out to be an accountant, so a tax accountant, as a matter of fact. So who knows what I did with those moments. That's not in my script. I told you I'd try to make this not too. Never mind.
You're doing a great job.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Anyway, this holiday, however, Halloween, is in fact a religious one. But, it helps, as always, if you don't define religion very narrowly. But it is religion, because one of the purposes of religion, I believe, is to help us make meaning out of our lives. And to do that, to find meaning in our lives, we also need to make some sense of death. Because life and death really are intertwined. From the first breath we take as an infant, our bodies begin the process of dying. Ancient peoples looked to nature to make this meaning of life and death because they were of necessity quite aware that we humans are not so very different from the other animals. From the plants and from the earth itself, from dust to dust, ashes to ashes. Everything that lives must eventually die. And what is going around us now, at least in this hemisphere? It's fall. The leaves, even in California, are starting to turn. And the flowers and other plants, some of them are beginning to die from this sort of colder weather. The Celts believe that with so much death around, that the border between life and death becomes thinner at this time of the year, and that those who have died have an easier time slipping back into this world for a visit. Ghosts and goblins, skeletons and ghouls could actually come walking down the street and knock on your door. Is that scary? Maybe. Maybe it's just trick-or-treaters, but maybe not. And, people, particularly in our culture, maybe in all cultures, I don't know, they have mixed feelings about death. We miss our loved ones who have died. And they remind us that death is always with us. We're not particularly fond of it. I don't like it. But maybe if we don't think about death, it will go away. We'll somehow avoid it altogether for ourselves and for people we love. And that's one approach. But another is to spend some time facing death. Quality time, if you will. Facing what terrifies us. And in doing so, ease some of that fear. And also some of the grief. And that is, in fact, what Halloween and other holidays celebrated this time of year is all about. There are a lot of religious traditions that do this kind of thing this time of year. Patricia Motley described them in a Unitarian Universalist World article quite a number of years ago, and some of this information is mainly from her article. So Wiccans are, that's witches, for those that don't know, Wiccans are witches, regard Samhain as one of their most important holidays. In ancient times, people and their livestock would often walk between two bonfires as a cleansing ritual, and the bones of slaughtered livestock were cast into the flames. Today, a more common ritual for Samhain is a meal, where there is a place setting for each person present, as well as one in front of an empty chair. That place is for the beloved dead, who are being honored by the meal. When the meal is over, the leftover food, including the food that was on the plate for the spirits of the dead, is taken outside and placed on the ground. And since the late Middle Ages, the dead have been remembered in Christian countries, in Europe and elsewhere around the globe, in formal church services on All Souls Day, following All Saints Day. If those of you that grew up Catholic probably know that one. Although fear of roaming spirits was declared superstition, various pagan beliefs and practices persisted throughout Catholicism. In Germany, when farmers harvested the hay, they broke the first straw and offered it as food for the dead. Even today, in Latvia, a quiet shadow period begins where it is believed that the shadows, spirits of the dead, visit the farmsteads to look over the life of the household and to bring their blessings for future life and work. And I know many of you are very familiar with the El Dia de Los Muertos, the Mexican Day of the Dead. And it's really a combination of the Roman Catholic rituals of All Saints and All Souls Days, along with the ancient traditions of the indigenous peoples of Mexico. And those traditions predate the massive undocumented immigration of people from European countries. And the holiday includes masses and prayers for the dead in the church, and also feasting in the home, where scattered petals and burning incense invite the spirits to enter and partake of their favorite food. Some of you brought favorite foods to share with others this afternoon. And the leftovers from that meal might be taken to the cemetery and laid on the grave of the ancestors. And while this is a time of mourning for those beloved dead, the pervading atmosphere in those cemeteries is one of fiesta. Cakes and candies in the shape of skulls, skeletons, coffins, and gravestones sweeten the concept of death, perhaps reminding those who eat them of the sweetness of living in heaven, as well as dwelling in the memories of one's descendants. Some families keep candlelight vigils through the night at the gravesites of their dead and attend open-air memorial masses. A previous president of the Unitarian Universalist Association, the Reverend Peter Morales, who has Mexican ancestry himself, tells us that if we dismiss the Day of the Dead as pure superstition, we can easily miss the profound spiritual and psychological insight that makes this tradition powerful. A Mexican boy spending the night at his uncle's grave has a connection across time with his forebears that our children usually do not. While we dwellers in a technological age are connected to the World Wide Web, our cell phones, cable TV, Netflix, going on. I wrote this a while ago. Things have changed technologically. We've cut ourselves off from the web of time. Whereas traditional cultures, with their mediums and ghosts and reincarnations, have understood intuitively something we've repressed. The dead don't die. They live on. For Hindus, as I understand it, and I will be corrected if need be, the dead live on when their souls are reincarnated in other bodies, in other forms. And one of the major festivals of Hinduism is Diwali. Diwali, yeah, okay. The Festival of Lights. It too is celebrated in late October and early November. And in parts of India, it honors the goddess Kali, the creator, preserver, destroyer of the universe, really all things. The womb and tomb, primal mother found in so many ancient religions. Her breathing is the pulse of the universe, for she is at once the one who gives birth to the world and is also the fierce, emaciated hag whose hunger must feast on animals and humans to replenish the energy that drives the cosmos. She is often depicted wearing a necklace of skulls, her hair wild, her tongue red with blood, gathering up souls to be seeds for new life. Kind of a witch image in a way, but it's the wheel. And the witches of European traditions were also mixed in this way. They were midwives and also morticians, bringing new life and also easing people toward death. It is the fact of death that makes life so sweet. Just like the jack-o'-lanterns that some of us may have carved this week. Our time is brief. Jack-o'-lanterns mold really quickly. So you don't want to do it too much, they just do. And that's, I think, as it should be. Because the fact of death can help us appreciate those who are around us now. Because we know we will not have them with us forever, at least in the same way. But I also believe that the souls of our ancestors, the souls we have loved, of those that have inspired us, those souls live on. They live on, at the very least, in our own hearts. They live on in the wind and the rain and the flowers and the trees and the earth. And I also believe that we can call upon those spirits for help, for courage, and for strength when we need it. So please join me now in a meditation. It's a ritual of remembering, and it's rituals based partly upon the words of the Reverend Christine Robinson. At this darkening time of the year, our thoughts turns to things past, to life retreating, to those who are no longer with us. Images come to our minds of dear companions who once graced our lives, loved ones whom we miss, persons whose lives made an impact on our lives. Of all those who were here, contributing, caring, and are now gone. Our memories bring both joy and sadness. Let us not push those feelings away. for our recollections attest to the enduring importance of these friends, this love, and our memories. May these brave and lovely spirits live again in our tender thoughts today and prove that death and distance are powerless to sever the bonds that connect truly loving hearts. First, as the Spirit moves you, please call out the names of people important to you who have died in the last year.
Dan.
Marge Kite. We welcome all those who have been named to the community of all souls, of all saints. And they say, some say anyway, that time will heal all wounds, but grief lingers. And there are those, for each of us, there are people, presence we will always miss. So please, now as you're moved, name those who you have loved, but have been dead for longer than a year, and welcome their spirits back among us. Carl and Edna Lingenfelter.
Way back, Carl.
Divine Spirit, hold us as we remember these precious friends and family. May our gratitude for having known them be reflected in our own lives. And may our tears help our own souls to grow. And help us to know that we are not alone in our grief. Remind us that we too are mortal, and that the only certain legacy we will leave behind is the love that we have shared with one another. Amen, and blessed be.